Guys, good morning.
To Tavolino Italian restaurant in Coral Springs.
Good
This
morning.
supermarket with offices throughout Broward,
Welcome to the show, everyone.
Call toll free 1-855 FLA 3782.
Here we go, live. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. This is the most pro Donald Trump radio show anywhere.
Longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial 1-888-GO-KANE-1. That's 1-888-GO-KANE-1.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. We have so much to talk about, as always, so much to touch on and get into, and we have only 2 hours and 54 minutes until we say goodbye at the end of the show left. So we got to get right into it. There's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the Joe Biden press conference yesterday, which he actually got a very difficult question. We'll talk about that. And this new Republican superstar that just won in the primary last night out in Colorado. And this is Lauren. She's new to me. I remember her with Biden. I mean, with Beto. I forgot about Beto until this morning. Lauren Boebert won out in Colorado. And this is a huge victory for President Trump. Lauren Boebert winning in Colorado in this primary, and a new era of Republican. You know, see, what Lauren Boebert out in Colorado, we'll talk about it a little bit here in the beginning, and I might play some audio of her, because this is so important to what Trump is doing so far as draining the swamp. Draining the swamp doesn't mean just a bunch of indictments from Barr and Durham for the people that were spying on Trump Tower during the presidential campaign. He's also draining the swamp of the Republican Party establishment. And what that involves is replacing Republican establishment members of Congress with what I call Trumplicans. He's redefining what the Republican Party is. You know, the Republican Party for a long time was a bunch of stuffy guys that wore bow ties and read the National Review and other boring publications, and felt that they were intellectually superior to the working stiffs that they claim that the Republican Party was fighting for. And Lauren Boebert out in California winning this primary is huge, people. This is huge. In fact, more Republicans like her going to Congress will totally forever reshape things. And I'm so glad she won. So we'll talk about this. And of course, I know she's a threat to the left because they're already out there attacking her. Now, let me just read this article. This is in Fox, foxnews.com. President Trump congratulated Lauren Boebert late Tuesday night after the pro-gun businesswoman defeated Representative Scott Tipton, who represented his Colorado district for 5 terms in Congress. That's amazing, right? I mean, she beat a 5-term incumbent. That's not an easy thing to do. Trump tweeted this: "Congratulations on a really great win." Trump's tweet linked to a post from her Twitter account from back in May, where she described herself as a tough fighter against socialism and an advocate for the Second Amendment. You know, when I went to the Trump rally here in Florida the week of Thanksgiving, when you go to a Trump rally, you don't just see Pence and Trump speak. There's a whole line of speakers that speak for a long time before the vice president and the president come out. And every single person started talking about the importance of the Second Amendment and how we need to defend the Second Amendment and preserve the Second Amendment. And every time the Second Amendment was mentioned, the crowd went nuts. And among Republicans, there's a huge fear of Second Amendment rights being eroded for very good reason. Look at what's going on in St. Louis. I saw the husband, you know, the guy with the rifle out there, the AR-15 in St. Louis. They're talking about bringing charges against him. We'll get into some detail on that later. He was on with Fredo last night, Chris Cuomo on CNN, and Fredo kept asking him, "Were you threatened? Did they do anything? Did they get to your house?" And of course nothing happened to the St. Louis couple. Why? Because, well, they came out and defended their homestead there. That's why. Lauren said this: "I refuse to send my children into a socialist nation. She's a mother of 4. Their freedom is my motivator. Threaten the liberty of Americans, and I'll be there to hold you accountable." This is Fox News. Lauren Boebert, the owner of Shooter's Grill in Rifle, Colorado, confronted Beto O'Rourke when he was a Democratic presidential candidate. Beto stopped in the Denver suburb of Aurora, and she questioned him on suggestions that he made that he would confiscate her guns. And that was a pretty viral moment. I remember that. In fact, not only do I remember it, we played it on the air at the time that it happens. So, you know, she won for a lot of reasons, okay? And they're out there talking about her and QAnon and all these things to try to discount her. This new wave of Republicans are more important than even the wave of conservatives that came in after Obama was elected. She is more important in Congress than, now this will be crazy to people, than even Allen West. Because, and I'll tell you why. Boebert, Loomer, there's a lot of these young conservatives, I mean really conservative, a lot of them are even more conservative than I am. She walked in her restaurant out in Colorado. Everyone that works in the restaurant, they carry weapons. It's an open carry restaurant. And she walks around with a gun strapped to her hip everywhere she goes. Okay? And you guys know what Laura Loomer is like. There is a new wave of young conservatives that are making their way into Congress. You don't have to be a radical socialist like AOC to make it into Congress. And, you know, the reason that we need to support people like Boebert and Loomer, and there are others, is because the president only has 2 terms. And we've got to think about what the country is going to be like after his second term. And while he is the president, we need to get a lot of people in, whether it's Boebert, Laura Loomer, Ron DeSantis, many others. We need to get a lot of strong conservatives like these people that view America and the world the same way Trump does. That's why I call them Trumplicans, because after his second term, let me tell you, God help us if after his second term, we get a Democrat in the White House and the Democrats control Congress. Because when the Democrats get back in control of Congress, and they will, listen, we're not going to run things forever. There will be a time when there's a Democrat president again, and they'll have control of Congress, or at least one of the houses, and they are going to be on a total move of revenge against those of us who voted for President Trump. And we need people like DeSantis, Loomer, Lauren Boebert out in Colorado, who will stand up and fight these very left-wing, mouthy Democrats that are in Congress. And will be running our country. So this is exciting stuff, and I'm so glad that she won last night. I mean, we could have, in November, we could have, in the House of Representatives, we could have some really, really strong people. And, you know, Loomer and Boebert being women, you know, when Sarah Palin was announced by John McCain as his vice presidential nominee, look at what the left did. They went out and they went on a mission immediately to destroy the reputation of Sarah Palin. They sent people to Alaska because the press, they're not embedded in Alaska. It's so far away. No one from Alaska had ever, you know, gotten in a position like Sarah Palin was at that time. And they went up there digging dirt. and they tried all kinds of things. They even made a porno movie about her. Remember this? And they had stories that when she was in college, she had sex with a black basketball player. Like, so what? Like that's going to hurt her with Republicans. Republicans aren't racist. They went to the local school district in Wasilla and interviewed someone who said she was banning books from the Wasilla school library, even though she was the mayor, not on the school board. You remember all this craziness? And the reason that they went after Sarah Palin is because the left think that they have a monopoly on having women in power in government. And when there are women who are Republicans that are young, attractive, right, and very conservative, they have to destroy them because they're as much of a threat to the Democrat power as strong, powerful black conservatives are. But women, there are more women, so they really concern themselves with women. And anytime there is a female conservative who is ultra-conservative and good-looking, like Sarah Palin was, and now Boebert, and they got to go after them and try to get rid of them because they know. I mean, look at Candace Owens. Candace Owens, like Boebert, like Loomer, these are charismatic women. Have you ever seen Candace Owens when she visits a college? Oh my goodness. I mean, they just swarm around her. They want to know her, talk to her, be close to her. And they do not like charismatic conservative women. So Lauren Boebert, I remember when she confronted I might play the audio when she confronted Beto when he was visiting Colorado. And I guess that was her launching point. And she's defied a lot of what's been going on in her restaurant so far as restrictions. But Lauren Boebert, very important. Everyone should be looking out for her. Follow her on the Twitter. She's very, very important to the party. Can you imagine if we had Laura Loomer and Lauren Boebert in the House of Representatives, two freshman congresswomen that are uber conservatives, huge supporters of Trump and everything that those of us on the Trump train believe. Can you imagine what the two of them would be like together? Oh my gosh, it would be, the two of them would be more influential and more of a threat than the entire squad would be, and they would be the new squad. I don't know what we would call them. They'd have their own squad going on. All right, listen, we will take our first break of the day. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. I'm a little behind on my coffee this morning, so you may notice that a little bit. I wish I could get off of my coffee addiction, but I'm addicted to coffee. That's the way it is. All right, listen, we'll take our first break of the day. When we get back, there's so much to talk about. Your calls are certainly welcome at 1-888-GO-KANE-1, 888-465-2631. Don't go anywhere.
You're stuck in your home and the dog days of summer are coming. It's already happening on the hot days in the late afternoon and early evenings. Your air conditioner is running more and more and may even run constantly, struggling to keep your home cool and hold the temperature that you have it set on. And in some homes, it can't even keep up, losing the battle. And the temperature in your house climbs and you're hot, humid, and uncomfortable. And to top it all off, your electric bill is about to double or even triple. Here comes summer. The cure is reflective and or blown insulation. Stop the heat gain and cut your electric bill up to 35% off. Act now and get the pandemic special. Our off-season sale. Act now. Save 50% on reflective and or blown insulation and cut your electric bill up to 35%. Call Scott from CutMyKilowatts.com at 954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500. CutMyKilowatts.com. Put your house in the shade today.
This is Brian Craig. I've been telling you about the great deals and incredible customer service at Friendly Tire on both new tires and used tires. One of our listeners, Antonio, went to Friendly Tire and called to share with us his experience of buying used tires at Friendly Tire in Margate.
Good morning, you're on the radio.
Yes, Brian, I want to give you a quick testimony about the tire place of the Margate, Friendly Tire. Friendly Tire is everything everything you said it would be, man. I went up there and got me some used tires, and when I whipped him, he was very courteous. My whole family's going for that, man. Everything you said it was going to be, man. I appreciate you for that, man. And Mike's great guy, man.
So what's your name?
Antonio.
All right, Antonio. Hey, I'm glad we could save you and your family lots of money on tires and Friendly Tires.
Oh, no doubt, man. Thanks so much, man.
Do what Antonio did. Stop into Friendly Tire and find incredible deals on both new and used tires. Give Friendly Mike a call right now. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. And Mike will give you a gift right over the phone. 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate.
Listen to the Steve
Oh, I just
King
sneezed.
Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for W.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I was just sneezing during the break. Oh my gosh, you sneezed today. People start panicking. I'll talk more about this later, but yesterday I went with Steve and his son Tyler. The three of us went over to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and had coronavirus testing. They have on the spot now. This just started yesterday. Any Lab Test Now of Boca, Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. They have the very fast coronavirus test. All three of us went in after the show and got it. You get your results in 15 minutes. Can you believe mine came in 10, by the way, but you get them in 15 minutes. We walked in to Any Lab Test Now of Boca, the three of us, and 15 minutes later, we knew what our results were. Oh, by the way, negative. All three were negative. But we'll talk about that later on. And by the way, people have been asking me, how much does this cost? $69. $69. I double checked it yesterday when we were over there. $69. Coronavirus testing, COVID-19 testing, and you walk in and 15 minutes later you walk out and you know your results. I've been seeing people waiting in line at these testing facilities around town, and some of the lines are a mile long. People are waiting for hours and hours, and they do the test that thing goes up your nose. I know someone that had that up the nose test. Oh my goodness, it is painful from what I'm told. This is just a quick little finger test, and boom, 15 minutes later, you know your result. Mine was negative, Steve Kane was negative, and his son Tyler, negative. None of us have coronavirus. We are COVID-19 free here on the Steve Kane Show. Listen, they open early, around 7:30, so give them a call. Any Lab Test Now of Boca. If you have any questions about this on-the-spot coronavirus testing, Any Lab Test Now of Boca, 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs, 954-906-5983. All right, yeah, so Lauren Boebert, this new wave of Trumplicans, you know, she became known because remember Beto? He visited Colorado, and he had some type of town hall on the steps of something in Colorado, and she got up and had a conversation with him about gun control. Listen.
I was one of the gun-owning Americans that heard your speech and heard what you had to say regarding hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15s and your AR.
Let's be respectful. Let's be respectful.
Well, I am here to say hell no, you're not. So, with that, I would like to know how you intend to legislate evil, because it is not the gun, it is the heart of the man that does that. We all have stories. Excuse me.
Let's allow her to finish, please.
We can all have these stories. We all have the experiences. I was living in Aurora during Columbine. I had just recently moved when the Aurora shootings happened, yet I have very close ties here. Yet all of those people were there defenseless. They had no way to defend themselves against a crazed shooter. So I want to know how you intend to legislate the hearts of men and leave American citizens like myself, American mothers. I have 4 children. I'm 5'0", 100 pounds. Cannot really defend myself with a fist.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's allow her to finish.
I don't have my AR-15 today. I have my Glock.
You shouldn't have.
Don't worry, sir. I have your back. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's her, and it goes on. She's awesome. So support her, Lauren Boebert in Colorado. Just won last night. A new Republican Trumplican. Follow her on the Twitter. follow her campaign. We're going to send this new wave that's going to be the real squad of strong, powerful women. Oh, man. Oh, so much happening, though. You know, did you guys watch the Biden press conference yesterday? Wow. That was really hard to watch. Oh, I got to turn the volume down on my iPad. I don't even know what's playing next. Oh, a TED Talk is coming on. I hate these recommendations. I was watching TED Talks yesterday, so now I'm getting all these TED Talk recommendations. I watched Dolph Lundgren's TED Talk, and now my YouTube recommendations are like all TED Talks. You guys should watch the Dolph Lundgren TED Talk. It's a pretty interesting one. It's a very good one, actually. You remember him? He was in Rocky III, played the Russian in Rocky III. The Biden press conference yesterday, he got one question that slipped through, but the Biden press conference was, to me, looks so scripted and so rehearsed. Right? And at one point, he said, "Who am I supposed to go to next? Who are you supposed to go to next?" And he said that he couldn't recognize who was who because they were wearing masks. So he didn't know who to go to next. I thought this was a press conference and he was just randomly taking questions. And he was having a difficult time. He was speaking very, very slowly. But the questions were rehearsed. And you could tell that not only the questions were rehearsed by him, because they knew them in advance. He very much rehearsed his answers. And he was speaking very slowly. One guy got through and asked a question about cognitive testing, which I'll play for you in a moment. But he gave an answer that was for another question. Let me play it for you. Here it is. This is one of the reporters slipped through at the Biden press conference, and he asked Vice President Biden if he has been tested for cognitive decline. And Biden gets testy, starts to call him a name, backs off, and then gives an answer for another question that he rehearsed.
Last question, real quick. Some have speculated that you are...
See, he was going back to that dog-faced pony boy insult, which I really don't know what that means, but anyway.
Subject to some degree of cognitive decline. I'm 65. I don't have word recollection that I used to have. I forget my train of thought from time to time. You got 12 years on me, sir. Have you been tested for some degree of cognitive decline?
I've been tested and I'm constantly tested. Look.
Now that what he said there was interesting. See, he gave the wrong answer. The guy said, the reporter asked Biden, "Have you been tested for cognitive decline?" And Biden said, "I am tested. I am constantly tested." Now, who constantly gets tested for cognitive decline? That answer was for the coronavirus testing. He's getting constantly tested for coronavirus. But then he goes, so he gave the rehearsed answer to something else. Listen.
Testing, I'm constantly tested. Look, all you got to do is watch me, and I can hardly wait to compare my cognitive capability to the cognitive capability of the man I'm running against. Thank you so much.
Wow, so he wants to compare his cognitive ability to that of President Trump. Oh, that's great. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's going to go over well. But that press conference, I watched it yesterday. I watched all of it. It was hard for me to watch. Does anyone out there like me feel sorry for Vice President Biden? Would you, if you were in his family or his circle, would you put him out there like that? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But I was really paying attention to that press conference, and he did not get the type of treatment any Republican, especially Donald Trump, would get. And he said at the end, listen to what he says at the end about comparing his cognitive abilities.
Look, all I got to do is watch me, and I can hardly wait to compare my cognitive capability to the cognitive capability of the man I'm running against.
Okay, he wants to compare his cognitive ability to the man he's running against. The follow-up question to Biden is, who is the man you're running against? I'm wondering if Trump's name slipped his mind at that particular moment, and that's why he said that. All right, our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning. He never got tested for the virus.
Oh, so he's multiple. So when he says he's getting tested all the time for cognitive issues, that's true?
No, the virus. He never got tested for the coronavirus like everybody's getting. He made an excuse that he didn't want to take somebody else's space.
No. I guess that's when I went and got a Coke. I missed that part. I watched the whole thing. I did go to the kitchen for a moment. I guess that was when I went to the kitchen. So when he said he's getting tested all the time, he meant that he's getting tested all the time for cognitive issues. Wow.
He's him at all. He's a liar at the whole thing. The whole
Well, you know, that one reporter at the end, though, that asked if he's been tested for cognitive decline, that was not a planned question. That wasn't supposed to happen. He weaseled his way in there. Maybe he asked a question other than the one he agreed to ask, you know, because he wasn't supposed to get up there.
But the thing with the dog, though, see, that's a black lingo term. He says he's black now.
The dog-faced pony boy? Isn't that from an old, like, John Wayne movie or something?
No, this is everybody, the black community calls each other dogs. That's what he's doing.
Okay. All right, appreciate it. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Hey, it's Mike and Boca.
Mike and Boca, what's up?
Yeah, I watched that painful Biden thing yesterday, and it was terrible. But the guy, I gotta give kudos to the last guy. Asked him about the follow-up question on the monument and his cognitive issues, because on the monument, he still couldn't answer. He did not, one time while he spoke, condone the violence going across this country. He did not talk about it, he did not condone it. What he did was, he went on for 35 minutes bashing Trump, and had zero plans of any kind.
Which one is he? Oh, okay. Now, I'm not familiar with this guy.
Mark Robinson, M-A-R-C. He is going to be the first black man that will be the lieutenant governor. He's a conservative. He's a family. And about a year and a half ago, he posted a video online.
Yeah. I'm going to restart the feed, guys, during the break, all right? So I'll